Somebody, for the love of everything that is the transfer portal, go grab my guy Des Claude. We got another Des Claude update. The Des Claude transfer portal, I'll throw the saga term on it, has taken twists and turns at every angle. I feel like we had people schools outwardly coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're not on Des Claude." Just in case y'all were wondering, we have visits to places getting, kind of canceled. We have schools that will be reportedly after Des Claude and then get a player at Des Claude's same position the following day. This has really been a crazy recruitment for honestly a player who I think is extremely productive. Like Des Claude is a guy that has been productive at every stop he's been at, but it just seems to be sort of a weird recruitment here. We have an update. Some schools that have reached out to Des Claude or have been reported to show interest. Tennessee being one of those schools, Oregon being another school. Gonzaga is interested as well, but they are adding a international prospect reportedly, and also just added Tyan Grant Foster. And Alabama is not pursuing Desmond Claude anymore after getting back LeBaron Philon and getting some of the other pieces they have. So, Ralph, I'll throw it to you. Can you give me some Des Claude clarity, please?
This is a cautionary tale, I think. Um, Reality checks are often needed and not provided. Let's just last 2 years of Des Claude, right? Productive, raw numbers are productive. Xavier underachieved and was okay with him walking. Basically told him he could not come back. Goes to USC, demands to play point guard. So there's limited recruitment for him last year, but USC goes after him because of the production. Produces again. BUSC underachieves. Kind of like we don't want you back. Red flags. So now he goes into this offseason with a expected high price tag because he views that's what he is, and he also still wants to play point guard. Two schools have kicked you out, essentially, for just going to be blunt. Two schools have kicked you out. You're demanding a position and a high price tag. That's not appealing for the kind of programs you want to go to. It's going to limit your options. I think there's got to be some concessions here for him to land where he at the level he wants to be at. But again, there's limited spots. We could go through the list of teams who are after him now. I think there are reasons why those teams are after him, but I don't know if he's a good fit anywhere. Like Bama seemed the most straightforward because it was like Bama expects to be good and they need guards. So here you go. It was more of like a 2 a.m. at the bar and the lights came on and we need somebody to go home with deal as opposed to a true, this is who we want.
Yeah. Mm.
And that, like, it's just not, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And look, it's I think you make some great points about Des Claude, and I think they're very valid points. And it's going on, and now it's getting to a point too where we're seeing guys that demanded numbers that they like. It's May 30th as we're recording this video. Like that number you wanted 3 months ago. Not a lot of schools are going to be willing to pay that, or not a lot of schools are going to be willing to give you the role that you want. I mean, PJ Haggerty just went for half of what he asked for. Like he had reached that point, and sometimes it comes to that point where you do get to like you're not going to get everything you want given who you are. And uh you mentioned Des Claude and his wants and his role. I look at, I mean, let's look at the schools that I mentioned, Tennessee and Oregon. Oregon misses out on Dame Sarr, so maybe they're in for like a guard wing. He's not playing point guard for Oregon. That's not happening.
No, no.
Tennessee. I don't even know if Tennessee. I mean, I guess I see like him being your starting two, but not touching the one. They got Jacoby Gillespie. So
Right.
like what is I mean, and Gonzaga is actively out here getting guys shaped like Des Claude instead of Des Claude. So like where is this gonna end?
I went through those teams. Oregon to me makes the most sense because they have the biggest questions on the wing. Even in the starting lineup, there are questions on the wing. We know what Shellstad is going to be. We know what Nate Biddle is going to be.
Mhm.
Everything else with Oregon is kind of a question. So if you have somebody with Big Ten experience, which is weird to say about somebody who's going from USC to Oregon, somebody with Big Ten experience who is proven, like I think that's worth the gamble at this point. I don't know if that's smart for Oregon though, because I do think there is something about Des Claude and the way he plays that would almost stunt Shellstad's growth as a player. And I'm still on the boat that Shellstad can be an All-American.
Mm,
Claude with that, I don't know if that's necessarily conducive, right? Tennessee seems like a weird cultural fit because Tennessee is very much like team before everything else, unless you're Dalton Connect or Chess Lanier, and Des Claude's not going to play that role. And looking at the roster, he's probably a bench guy for Tennessee, probably a six man for Tennessee. Des Claude good with that?
I'm gonna say
I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no.
And Gonzaga seems to be kind of grasping at whatever they can get right now because they have guys who are hoping that it works out, but the best case scenario for a lot of them is not much better than what they got from like Caliph Battle last year, which is good, but you're not making Final Fours, I don't think, with that. So they're grasping for any kind of upside they can get really right now. Also, Grant Foster may not be eligible.
Yeah, I
There's
forgot he needs a waiver.
yeah, so it is like a last ditch effort thing that's interesting to see. But the other side of this too, I had this thought as you were going through everything. We accept when really good college players don't get drafted in the NBA or get drafted way later than their talent suggests they should because they're like stars for their college team, but what they do doesn't translate if you're not a star and you're not star caliber for the NBA. Des Claude's game is almost like that, where unless he has the ball in his hands at a high volume, there's not a lot of roles that he seems like he's going to accept or do pretty well. Like he's not somebody who's going to come in and be a knockdown shooter and is okay coming off screens, right? He's not somebody who's going to be a lockdown defender and be okay not having a play run for him 5 consecutive possessions.
Right.
So you're kind of getting him to be more of the guy, but we've seen at two different power conference schools now. You're not winning with him as that.
Right. And the proof
So
and the proof shows that too with the records.
right, so it's almost like his draft stock is not where he thought it would be.
Hmm. Right. And look, and I mean, you look at too, if you're a coach and you're trying to convince yourself, I would want this guy to play point guard. Des Claude averages 4 turnovers a game.
Right.
Like it's
And
just
I don't mean to just be sitting here ragging on Des Claude because he is a very productive player.
yeah. Look,
Like,
I watched a lot of Big Ten hoop. I saw Des Claude beat Illinois by himself.
yes,
Like he did that. He has that
yes,
ability. Like this is it's so hard to talk about like what because like in the grand scheme of things, it's like why wouldn't people want a guy that averages 16, 4, and 4?
right,
Like there's others, but there's so much other thing. Like you said, there's other things at play here.
right, exactly. And I think that if I'm Des Claude, I don't. I see the whole I averaged 16, 4, and 4, and the team around me at USC, which was true, probably wasn't very good.
Mhm.
But on the outside, you've been kind of like told you're okay to not come back to places. And you didn't play winning basketball. And you don't want it doesn't appear like you want to change right now.
Right. And that's what limits your options. And I think that's why this has dragged on for as long as it's dragged on. And you know, usually when this drags on this long, Jerome Tang just comes out of nowhere and says, gimme. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I guess throwing it to you, if you had to like call your shot before this school inevitably comes out and says we're not recruiting Des Claude, where do you think he does end up?
Tennessee is probably the school that's going to come out and say we're not recruiting Des Claude.
100%. That'll happen in
I would
like
say.
3 hours.
Um, I think he ends up at Gonzaga.
Think so?
To be to be honest, yeah. Um, Part of that is me hoping he doesn't end up at Oregon selfishly because I'm such a Shellstad guy.
Yeah,
But I also think Gonzaga, like I think you can pitch the things he does well being maximized by Mark Few.
I could see it.
I think you can pitch that. And Gonzaga like needs perimeter scoring, to be quite frank. And You might get that from some guys. You might get that from Des Claude, but Des Claude is as proven as any of the guys that you have or could have at this level. So if I had to guess, that's where it is. I'd probably go Zags one, Oregon two. Um, but both of them, I think, fit the bill for what he's looking for and have a need.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I see what your point is on Shellstad, and I agree with it. I think he ends up at Oregon though. I think they've kind of gone at like went after Dame Sar. They need. I'll
Yeah,
be honest, I can't name the other guard or wing for Oregon this year or the wings options that they have.
they're unproven. They're unproven. I know Oregon likes them, but
Mhm.
they're unproven.
Yeah, I think they're in a spot where they have put themselves in a situation where they actually need Des Claude. So I think he ends up at Oregon.
How far could just Nate Biddle and Jackson Shelstad take Oregon?
Because honestly, I think that Shellstad, I'm on the same train as Shellstad with you, and Biddle is in like his ninth year of college basketball and was good last year. Pretty far, pretty far.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're betting on TK Simpkins
Oh yeah, they do got Simpkins.
for translating. And then the other projected starter, according to Jim Root's roster sheet, is Devin Pryor from Texas, who had a minimal role for Texas last season. So, like, Des Claude is an upgrade, but I think you'd have to wonder how the fit of him and Shellstad together, to me, is the question.
Yeah, on paper that looks like it'd be a situation that wouldn't work out well, but uh, I'm sure we'll have some more Des Claude updates. I'm interested to see where he ends up, and just always know that in the dark, Jerome Tang is lurking.